Well, I guess since you can't join me in person, I'll be doing this on a fake stage with a fake microphone, but this is my expedition speech. You may not see it in your day-to-day life, but Asheville is in a crisis which involves the fundamental needs of human beings and human rights. This desperate crisis in Asheville is one of housing. You may have previously heard of what is going on in Asheville. Rampant gentrification is destroying low-income neighborhoods and replacing them with upper-middle-class suburbs or condominiums designed for those who can pay. Demand to move to Appalachia has led many to Buncombe County and the Asheville metropolitan area. This has resulted in large housing construction to make a new suburban landscape to accommodate these new people moving in. The consequence of this is that many Ashevilleans are bought out of their homes to build new developments and thus no longer have a place to live. There is a solution to this, however. The solution is the construction of new affordable housing. Affordable housing is the private or public construction of low-cost or set-price apartment complexes or small houses in order to give low-income families or individuals housing whereas they would have none. In some cases, the government will contract construction companies to build apartment complexes on the behalf of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Many private contractors also construct apartment complexes, which oftentimes host affordable housing. It's quite commonly a worthy investment for construction companies to build affordable housing and rent those out. Affordable housing, like those private publicly and those rented out, often gives those who are homeless or those who are low income the opportunity to own a house and have some form of shelter. A common suggestion of those who want to build more affordable housing is to build up, not build outward. Modern construction of residential areas often involves the construction of large suburban sprawls for upper middle class and general middle class individuals. To many, this is not the best way to provide housing to the public. The construction of affordable housing and housing in general should be up, not down, creating apartment high-rises to provide good and spacious living for as many as possible. Can both protect the environment, keep rural communities from being overdeveloped, while still giving every American a place to live in American luxury. Building up would provide more affordable housing and lower housing costs in general. There are people who are against the construction of affordable housing and efforts to build up. People who often protest, petition, and use other means to block the construction of affordable housing in new apartment complexes. This group is commonly referred to as NIMBYs. The acronym for a common NIMBY slogan, "Not in my backyard." NIMBYs typically come from a demographic of upper middle class white suburbanites who either do not understand the conditions of the homeless or those struggling with home payments, whether it be rent or mortgage, or are too self-interested to really care about the conditions of those in poverty. Groups and individuals who are NIMBYs are often one of the largest threats to new development of affordable housing. NIMBYs often deploy racist and classist stereotypes in order to justify their opposition to affordable housing. A common argument is that affordable housing complexes will bring tenants who deal drugs, commit crimes, or what NIMBYs refer to as public nuisances. If you do not see the problems in these statements, let me touch on why these stereotypes are in fact negative. One, when compared to the average population, more tenants in low-income housing tend to be minorities. Two, these are often harmful and archaic stereotypes of minority groups, which usually turn out to be false or exaggerated. Three, increasing affordable housing will likely decrease the crime rate by giving people to live who live on the street or in poor living conditions, better living conditions at a lower cost, decreasing pressures to commit violent crimes. And four, when you're referring to people in affordable housing as public nuisances, you're definitely either the person who tells a homeless person to get a job or a person whose first instinct is to go to Zillow.com when you first see someone in Adidas track pants walking down the sidewalk in your neighborhood. NIMBYs are starting to become a problem in Asheville as well. As gentrification takes hold of the area and more upper middle class white people move into the suburban neighborhoods that probably were once lower class neighborhoods, efforts to give low-income families they kicked out housing will likely be staunchly opposed by those new people moving in. An example of this was in 2018, after a Fuddruckers closed in North Asheville. Plans were drawn up to build a new apartment complex in the area which would include affordable housing. These plans were almost shot down by NIMBY protesters who asserted that the construction of this complex would cause more traffic. How elitist, how well off and uncaring does one have to be to deny low-income families the right for housing just so you can save 3 minutes on your daily drive? You can allow a family who's having no opportunity to have an opportunity, the opportunity to live in a home and have shelter, but you're too concerned about your drive to work to care about them. Another issue is the confusion between gentrification and the construction of affordable housing. Many people see the construction of of new apartment complexes and buildings and mistake it for gentrification in itself. The construction of more affordable housing is not in fact gentrification, but is in fact the opposite. It is meant to relegate the effects of gentrification and give people who are forced out of their homes for suburban development the opportunity to get housing. Disguising NIMBYism as actually in favor of those who are in poverty is frankly absurd. But in a way, the confusion is understandable. Many people assume large apartment complexes will be made for those who can afford it and be expensive, like a San Francisco apartment. But as I hope I've made clear, that isn't the case. So next time you see a post on Instagram about gentrification caused by an apartment construction, take a moment to research whether it actually is gentrification before you get angry. Affordable housing is especially important here in Asheville. As gentrification continues to run rampant in Asheville and Buncombe County as a whole, we need methods to combat its effects. Sorry about that, that's my dog. Development is unstoppable, but we can negate its worst effects by promoting construction of more affordable housing in the region. At the same time, we must also take action against those who wish to oppose affordable housing and reasonably argue how affordable housing can actually benefit them. Citizens of Asheville who are in favor of helping those in poverty, ending our homeless crisis, and protecting our environment should not be saying not in my backyard, but instead be saying yes, in my backyard. Thank you.